Hey guys, CreepsMcPasta here. This is hopefully going to be a big update and hopefully the last update on this whole thing, which has exploded in the last few days. It's crazy, yeah. For a start, why I chose live action. I chose live action, and this wasn't a quick decision. This was something I ran past a lot of people, but every conclusion I came to was that my feeling on this was the right idea. And that is, in the update, I mentioned that 5 years of my, essentially not just my work, not just little things I say, but my life, family photos, holiday photos, I've backed everything up on there, but is now gone. But there's something I've kept for 5 years that I can give, and that is this. I essentially want to leave myself with nothing and work up from there. And it's also because I feel hiding behind a screen, behind stock footage or just a picture of my house can come across as insincere in a way. And I don't want to do that. I want to thank you guys as me. And sorry if I'm a bit jumpy. I have no script. I decided, again, no script, no stock footage, no music. Just doing this how raw. I've got some notes with me, don't worry. Yes, so the first thing I want to do is thank everyone. I can't word it right. I can't say it enough. I can't think of the best way to word it without sounding like, oh, thank you. But the response has been insane. It's grown outside the horror community. I mean, when it started, I felt it was just contained in the horror community, but it very quickly spread. Very quickly. A lot of people were picking it up, and it was scary, and it still is a bit scary, but, there's a few people who've made videos promoting it, Pyrocynical in particular. But yeah, and the response from everyone else, not just him, obviously, I don't want to just thank him, but everyone. I've been trying to read every tweet sent to me, and that took hours of my nights, but I wanted to like the ones that were nice. I wanted to read the ones that were nice. I wanted to reply to what people have said. And no matter what I did, for every tweet I read, I felt like 10 more took its place, And emails, I've been going through them. I'm trying to go through them, but they are the people who had sent tweets, stuck to the character limit. The people who sent emails, sent bigger things. They take a while to get through, but I am going through them, and I've gotten some very interesting emails, some very interesting responses, very heartwarming. That email has always been mainly for stories, and it gets a few nice messages. Yeah, and the next thing, obviously, going through everything, it's never going to be 100% good. There was obviously some negativity, which, honestly, one thing I find is healthy, and this is something I feel like people should take on board, is to not dismiss negativity. There were the people who thought it was fake. Like, apparently another YouTuber has done this and faked it for money. I didn't know that. And that's crazy. I didn't even think about that. There's also the way I presented things. I could have presented things better, and it was on the night, But yeah, something I find is healthy is to always try to see the seed of truth in, even if it's irrational hatred. There's always like a reason why people are doing it. So, people who just say, oh, they're haters, just dismissing their opinion, blocking out all negativity, blocking their ears, and just listening to positivity and then letting that feed them up. I feel that can lead to unhealthy endings. But most of it when people are like, oh, I wish I could donate, I'm going to save up my next paycheck. And I'm like, if you're waiting for money, it's not spare, please don't give. And this is to anyone, please, like, that's too much. Like, I would hate for my burden to become someone else's burden. That is not what I wanted. And that's something that I feel guilty for, and I feel like was pointed out through some of the negativity. So that is something I am thankful for in a way. Yeah, and that leads me on to my next thing, which is that the GoFundMe, I've been trying essentially since day one to shut it down. It's been a bit tricky because it started trending. So GoFundMe obviously had their eyes on it because, crowdfunding sites, they have their reputation revolving around their, around projects on their website. And if something big is a scam, is fraud, I can't think it was sketchy in any kind of way, it's on them. Think of all the bad Kickstarter funds that turned out to be for naught, and how people now negatively see Kickstarter. So I completely understand that GoFundMe have been working hard to verify my campaign, but I'm scared to close it down before it's verified. So it's been up, but it should be closed by the time this video's come out, which makes me feel better because I don't want to make this video talking about how I don't want more attention to it, only to draw more attention to it. I want it to be shut down when this comes out, because I want everything I say, even the sad things. I want to get into some details I've been holding back, because I don't want to ever be seen as guilting people either, because there's some things I haven't mentioned, some things I've been wanting to say, and just general things about me that I've wanted to update that I'm scared will just create the sob story. I don't want to create a sob story when there's a GoFundMe present. I feel uncomfortable with that. Yes, there's been some confusion on what this GoFundMe is for. And that's because I never stated anything beyond the equipment. I set a goal of 2,000. I thought that's roughly where it'll get to, and that'll be just enough to get me back on track, just to start working it sooner than trying to save up for equipment, but then letting the channel die out and subscriber burn, and all these problems that can happen when you don't upload. But it's obviously gone past where a reasonable point for just equipment. So people have been assuming various things now. So some people think I'm going to try and move, which I don't want to do, really. The reason for that is because this place is essentially my dream home. I've never dreamt of, big mansions or anything like that. I want a small place to myself that's secluded. This is my dream home. It's tiny. It's got some historicness to it, and it's away from people. So I can work, I can shout, I can be loud, and I can record. I can do everything here. And I don't want to leave this. This is a house which, when I spotted it, I was like, this is going to be my place. And I've been making it my place. And although I've been set back, I feel I can still make this place mine again. So yeah, what is my plan? Because like I said, there was nothing stated. So my biggest plan right now is something I mentioned on Twitter, and I mentioned briefly a rough plan of what I wanted, and now I can expand on it, which is the number one priority now. Be it past equipment, the number one priority is security. I feel I've been, blessed with such a high amount that putting it towards keeping this place safe and keeping me here should be the highest priority now. And I haven't seen anyone, I've not seen anyone disagree with that. So I feel that is definitely the number one priority. And I'm going to try be open with what I do with the money, because I feel something unhealthy is to think of it as my money, as money given to me to spend on whatever I want. I feel that's unhealthy. I feel it's healthier to think about it as your money. And so I want to responsibly use it and keep you guys in the loop of where it's all going. But the one exception would be security. I don't want to say what I buy, because if anyone gets on the computer's taken, finds out who I am, and then can see all the security I get, that's just a bad idea. The next thing is equipment. I want to get things out faster, so something good enough to process the videos that I want to make. And now that I've been trying to make my videos more complex, I have been needing a more complex system than the system I've been running. So that is honestly the best way I can see of doing things. But there'll still be quite a lot left over. And so I also want to budget some for projects, because there are some projects that require a budget, which I've always wanted to do, which I've never been able to, but these are projects that I think you guys will love. This is stuff that it's been on my mind for years almost, things I've never been able to do. And I feel by achieving them, it'll be achievement through you guys, which will, make it that bit more special, I feel. But I feel there'll still be some left over, so I actually want to keep some aside as well, as sort of a generosity part for others who may need it, for content creators who I believe in maybe, or for people who need help. I feel like so much has been given to me that it'll be wrong not for me to find ways to give back. I also feel that there's a strong responsibility for me to take to use it wisely, to not just spend it on, frivolously on things irrelevant. But it's something I'm taking seriously, and I'll probably do it on Twitter, because I don't want to make more updates on this channel. I don't want to spam. I don't want to shove this whole thing down people's throats, but I'll try keep people up to date on Twitter. Yeah, so some things that, I don't know, for people who want to know how I'm doing and my well-being, it's interesting right now. I've been experiencing some interesting things which I know is different from me, things I've never had before. So I've never been a jumpy person. You'd be walking along someone, and a car would drive past and honk, and they'd jump, and I'd be stoic. I'd be still as a rock. Things like that never affect me. And when you leave a coat hanging, and people are like, "Oh, I thought that was a person." I've never had that. But lately, I've been leaving my jacket around the place, just even on a chair. It doesn't even look human. But I double take whenever I see something like that sometimes now. It's kind of weird. But that's something I'm hoping will clear up once security's in the house. But yeah, I've been talking to people, and apparently that's normal as well. Hopefully, anyway. I think something else to add about me is a lot of people think I'm uncomfortable in this home, and in some ways I am. But I'm actually more uncomfortable leaving. I was out having breakfast with my dad down the road, and all I could do, I felt really rude, because all I was doing was just looking around. I was just anxious just to get home. It's one of those, like, I'm scared to leave this place unattended right now. It's like, it's like, it's like this is my child, and I'm protective of it, and something bad has happened to my child. But that's another thing that I will be covering when I sort out security, is, a smartphone thing, so I can check up on on this place while I'm not here. And I think that will hopefully tide me over. I think that will really help. Yeah, another thing which, this is probably more for curiosity for people who love the juicy deeds. But an interesting thing that I've been piecing together was, do you remember the crowbar? I put a picture of a thick, rusty crowbar. In the last video. And that was found upstairs in my office area, in my little recording booth upstairs that I made from an old wardrobe that was left here from the person who died. And while the forensics lady, which is the person outside taking a cast of the marks on my window, she told me that the crowbar wasn't used to open the window. You know, the smaller profile tools that were found outside were the chisels, the screwdrivers, all that was used to pry it open. And it wasn't until I sat back and started thinking about it, but you know, your mind paints a picture from information given. And you think, why would someone carry a thick, heavy object upstairs, you know, in the floor that I sleep? And when they realize when I'm not in, obviously, they put it down and don't need it anymore and never used it. You know, there was nothing to pry open up there. And it just scares me because, yeah, I feel like, I think that crowbar was for me. Like, yeah, it's like, I'm just now thankful that I was outside the house when all this happened. But yeah, that's a scary thought, and I feel that's something to, I don't want to scare people too much, but that is something to think about with security. I feel like it's easy to think about security in hindsight, like now, but for people who especially live alone like me, these are things to think about, you know. If you can, at least, you know, just taking some measures to make sure things are safe, to make sure you're safe. Another thing I mentioned actually in the Sunday update briefly was demonetization, which Pyrocynical in his video mentioned how, like, a lot of people have been trying to work extra hard, trying to just up the numbers, because the demonetization on YouTube is you know, it's real. Like, it's not just a little thing anymore. It's becoming quite a threat, especially to people who just have YouTube. I think the best way for me to explain this without saying too much about numbers, because I don't know what I'm allowed to say. I always read contracts and they're always fishy about information you can give. But say if I have a video in 2 days that makes 50,000 views in 2 days. The video I made on Sunday went, you know, very viral, and it reached about 300,000 views in 2 days. So that's 6 times as much. Now, earnings-wise, if this 50,000 video makes an average earnings, that 300,000 video made roughly a tenth, or roughly like an eighth of what a smaller 50,000 view, same minutes, same ads video would make. It's quite abysmal right now. And yeah, so if you see other YouTubers pushing for crowdfunding as well, or other sources of income, take that as reason why. Like, it's not just people who have lost a few cents trying to make dollars, trying to profit from a negative situation. It's a situation that is really affecting people, me included. I don't know if it's affecting everyone, but definitely people in the horror community. If you've been keeping up with their social medias, like, yeah, it's getting rough. Horror seems to be seen as maybe too violent, too gory, or too something about it is not advertiser friendly. But they're also saying it's temporary, so hopefully it is. I hope it is. But yeah, another thing I should address as well is, now that I have live action, is that there are a few little amendments I have to make on things I've said. So for a start, Lux Noctis, the author I've worked with and I interact with on social media, he's not just a friend, he's actually a real life friend. So he's someone I've known since teenagehood, not childhood, but, teenage times, high school. But yeah, he's someone who's actually closer to me than I've stated, than just a friend. Like I say, how, another content creator is a friend, which they are, but he's obviously someone I have a bit more connection with. And another bigger one is Matt, who used to do some stuff for me. He doesn't do stuff anymore, but with him and with Lux, it just makes sense to state they are friends. That was all done for anonymity, but everything around it has always been the truth, Lux is an author. I've got his, self-published book on my shelf. And Matt really is a qualified audio engineer. He got the highest grades possible in his audio degree. And, he's worked on big projects. He's worked on Lego Batman 3, the movie he worked on before the one he's worked on now. Won an award in London in a film festival. And the one he's worked on now, I feel, is definitely on board for awards, I feel. And when I go to the screenings of those movies, the people there always poke at the acting, they always poke at the indie editing and stuff like that, but never the music. They always say good things about the music, the sound. And it was definitely worth it when I had him on board. And like I said, yeah, it was just for anonymity's sake. There's no way to present it otherwise without compromising what I had been trying to hide for years. Discuss future projects, discuss the future. And yeah, I've had a lot of projects planned, and I've been, I work on them. While working on YouTube, I work on these little side projects, and even though they're gone, I have them in my head and I want to start again. One of the more immediate ones, which is not one of the big ones, but one of the more immediate ones, was actually going to start this Friday. I was talking about it so much. This was going to be the day I start streaming again, but not just how I did it before, like little casual streams, but, trying to make it an actual thing, like trying to structure more of a show around it, rather than, these silly little chill nights. They were fun. I loved those chill nights. That was so fun. But that's something I want to definitely try to do as soon as possible. It probably won't be to the standard that I wanted it to be for this Friday, but I can try work on that one as soon as possible. But there are some other projects as well. Some I mentioned the demonetization, but my other projects relate to possibly other platforms, things. I don't want to say too much, especially now that it's been set back. I don't want to say things too early, but the best hint I can give is that these are projects that a lot of people have been asking for, people have been suggesting to me, and it's a medium that, fits my platform perfectly. So if you're one of those people, you've been asking for something that just makes sense to me for my kind of content, you might already know what I'm talking about. But these are things that I'm going to continue working on. And now that there's a budget, I'm going to try work on more. There's a few little things. I've always wanted to hire an animator, get some actual visuals going. But animators, I respect the animating thing. I don't want to cheap anyone out if I hire someone. That's my number one rule when I hire people. I never want to cheap out. But animators are expensive, so that's something I can start pursuing, possibly. No, this video has been very nice to make, actually. I don't know, it's been nice to just get everything out, and not only get everything out, but, you know, I feel like I'm doing something by updating you guys. And I feel like this will hopefully be the moment that I put everything behind me and start working from the ground up. Yeah, the biggest thing is, I've said it before, and I keep saying it, but I can't say it enough. Just, you know, thank you guys for sticking with me, for, you know, being here for me. It's been amazing reading your responses to, you know, trying to go through and read every response that I can. It's been uplifting in a way. And for those who have minimized the video to avoid seeing me, right now the end slate should be up. Let's say the end slate should be up right now. And yeah, thank you guys for everything then.